were you locked up? What was the reason
I was
they
a
gave
spy.
you? For being a spy.
Yeah.
I suppose everybody was criticised, weren't they, during the Cultural Revolution? So
Well, the thing is, I was trying to do a lot of publicity for the revolution.
Yeah.
You know, because I was taking part and I was writing up and sending letters abroad and all that. So they got plenty of evidence that I was sending information abroad. It's just that they put the label spy on instead of publicity for. You see, there are two factions, and I belonged to one faction, and it was the other faction. They were rivals. So when I was being held, they called in security to listen to the accusations against me and my counter. And so security went away and did not arrest me. So they were very embarrassed. If they let me go, they would lose all credibility. So they didn't let me go, but it meant that they were burdened with me. They had to be sure I didn't commit suicide. So they had to have guards with me all the time. You know, a person that's accused of being a spy might lose heart and jump out of the window.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not any danger of that. But anyway, they guarded me very carefully. I never tried to jump out of the window or anything. I was having a good time. I was taken out of my home and put in a room over on the other campus. Yes, some of the guards became good friends. I was supposed to have the windows blocked because seeing birds and trees is very encouraging, and you want them to feel desperate. So they covered all the windows with paper so I couldn't see out. But the guards that came and watched me, some of them belonged to my faction. Yeah. So they would just open the windows and I'd see the birds. They locked the door so nobody could suddenly come in. If anybody knocked on the door, then they would close the windows again. They were papered over. You see, if it's a question of factions and you have your faction looking after you, you have quite a comfortable time. Of course, they can't give you freedom, but they can let you look out of the window, they can give you good food, and they can come and talk with you. And
So you weren't lonely or anything?
No, because I had two people sitting in the room keeping their eye on me, so I was never alone.
So what was your daily routine? Did you exercise?
Oh, yes, I did exercise. They took me down and walked me around the campus.
So you were allowed out at times?
Yes.
And did you see your children?
At first I didn't see them. They didn't know where I was. I used to see Paul riding to school every morning, you know, at 7:30. So I would stand at the window and watch him pass. By quite a chance, he happened to look up at the window where I was. So the girls who were in the room, I couldn't wave to him, but I lifted my cup up and, you know, like this, and so he saw that and knew where I was. When Paul saw me, he was on his way to school, so he quickly turned around and rushed back and told Michael. So then Michael and a friend came over and knocked on my door, and it just happened that there was an important meeting on, and my guards had gone to the meeting. So I don't know how such a coincidence had happened. So they saw me, and I thought that they would get into terrible trouble. So I quickly said, "Go away," and I closed the door. And then I thought, oh, they'll think I'm being terrorized, you know, here, so I must ask to see them. So I'd never thought before of asking, so I asked to see them. So it was arranged. And of course, I said, well, I asked to see you because I thought you were terrorized. They said, "Oh, Mum, of course we weren't terrorized. We know the way you are." So they didn't take my shock as anything
Oh,
special.
that's nice. That's a relief. And what about David? Where was David?
He was also locked up.
Oh,
They were
so
both locked up.
he was he under house arrest, or where was he?
Yes, his was more serious than mine because he was locked up by security and I was just locked up by the local faction who don't have changed things because I asked to see him and the people that were locking them up belonged to the two factions. So the faction I belonged to wanted to support me. So they agreed that I could see David.
Could you speak Chinese? Good Chinese back then? I mean,
Yes, I had to.
Yeah.
All the interrogation was in Chinese. And David's case too. In both cases, only Chinese. My Chinese doesn't sound good, but it's very useful. Well, they came to David and opened the door and said, "Do you want to have the newspaper?" Of course, the Chinese newspaper. He's just about to say no because he was, illiterate. But then he said yes. So they gave him the newspaper. He got the newspaper every day. He said, "And I'd like a dictionary as well." They said, "No, you can't have a dictionary." So, but he didn't know Chinese. So he decided he had to learn Chinese, learn to read and write Chinese. So when he went in, he was illiterate, and when he came out, he was literate.